People get divorced. You're not going to church? Why get a divorce? I had a friend, a member of the bishopric, told his wife, he doesn't believe, get a divorce. I mean, it can be that serious. Now, hopefully it won't happen that much in these more enlightened days, but those relationships are important. We have to put priorities. Well, your spouse and your family, just like the church says, the most important thing in the world. And if something in some procedure or policy in the church has to slip a little bit, that'll be okay. Now, don't quote me. People will take it out of context. Anyway, the next one on the list is try to fit into the definition of LDS acceptability as much as you can. It's kind of the same thing as making the model fit. There's that LDS model. We have to constantly think about things like, how should I dress? When I go to a sacrament meeting, women's supposed to wear dresses, right? You can't wear your pants. Or you can. You're not going to see you shake their heads, yes. But think about, it's our job. We want them to accept us, but it's our job also to try to be acceptable. Try to find a compromise there. Word of wisdom. How much of that can you accept? Could you have a glass of wine occasionally? If it's in your model, why not? Don't quote me again. But you wouldn't take a bottle of wine to the ward banquet. That's an extreme example, but you see where I'm going with this. What about attendance? People expect you to go to every Sunday. That's what's acceptable. Now, my wife and I have cut that back. We don't go every Sunday. And we don't mince our words to people about it. I've got a bad back anyway. It's kind of hard to sit for 3 hours, but you can make adjustments as you need, but still try to be as acceptable as possible. What about your offerings? What if you want to pay part of your tithing to somebody else? That wouldn't be acceptable, would it? But you have to make some judgments. One of my models is, yes, pay tithing. Pay 10%. But sometimes I give it to somebody else. And I don't, 5 or 6 years ago, I went on a church service mission. I had to renew my temple recommend, so I had to go through the procedure of paying full tithing the full time I was on the mission. But, quite frankly, since then, it hasn't been a full thing to the church. And so you can make adjustments as you need, but try to be as closely tied into acceptability as possible. Anyway, one thing about acceptance, we've noticed in the last couple of conferences that the borders of acceptability are starting to expand. Have you noticed that? Elder Holland's talk and President Uchtdorf's talk are both kind of finding people like you and me acceptable. President Uchtdorf said, we've all had questions. We've all had doubts. Even if you have doubts, come back. We can use your talents with us. So that, would we have heard of that 10 or 20 years ago? I don't think so. So things are happening that will allow us to be more acceptable, even though we may not adhere to every single rule and procedure that's listed there. And the next one is try to be open and thoughtfully honest with others. This might be a new experience for some Mormons, but like I said, I wish honesty was at the very top of our list of things we were expected to do as Mormons, but it's there, but it's kind of down the list. But dishonesty brings personal dissonance to us. We're constantly thinking of ourselves as hypocrites. But we have to be careful about how honest we are. We want to be brutally honest with people. We want to be tactful. We don't want to hurt people's feelings. We don't want to cause those kind of pain. So you have to be kind of careful with your honesty. You have to judge who will you be honest with, when will you be honest, and how much will you be honest. And of course, we'd start off with our spouse and family, maybe first. Maybe you have to go to a counselor first to be honest. Kind of open up the floodgates and get started. And then you find ways of doing it. We do have to be careful with people because they're not expecting some of the things we might have to say to them. And finally, the last one is get help as needed and help others. None of us do this on our own. We always find somebody to help us. I had people who helped me, a bishop who helped me to figure out a way to go on my mission. And that kind of kept me in the church. If he hadn't been there to take care of that for me, I'd probably be gone. So counseling can help. Even LDS social services have counselors now. This won't be brand new to them if you come to them. They've heard it many times. Now, bishops sometimes can be helpful, but a lot of times, particularly if they're new bishops, they may not have this kind of experience. Your spouse can be helpful. You can kind of do it gingerly and share things together. And of course, other people like all of us sitting here are people in the Borderlands or people who have been through the experiences can help us. Frances Lee Menlove, she wrote probably the most important essay on honesty ever written. It came out in the very first issue of Dialogue, and then more recently in her book. What's the name of it again? The Challenge of Honesty. Very good. If you need to get started, look that essay up or get a copy of that book. It's a fantastic book on honesty. Anyway, thanks so much. I appreciate being here with you, and I hope everything goes well for all of you in your journeys ahead. I guess we'll be around to talk to you after the meeting.
So, these strategies I'm going to talk about right here, I've divided them up into two major areas. And the first being identity, and this is the internal part. So how do we deal with what's going on inside as we leave, or as we prepare to leave? And then the second part is going to be social relationships, which is the external and the outside. And in my work with others, I find that this is usually the biggest factor that needs addressing. So the first, and I actually call these tasks, so these are kind of like your task list as you leave. You're likely going to have to face these things if you haven't already. And just as a side note, though these are written for departing Mormons, these actually probably apply to everybody in here, because they're based on self-care and asserting yourself and independence, so skills that all of us can use, but become particularly relevant for those who actually hold a minority identity, because if you are a departing Mormon or even a Mormon on the Borderlands, you're likely a minority, depending on where you live. So please keep that in mind. So the first task is to build identity and purpose. So as a Mormon, you know, who heard the questions, who am I, where did I come from, where am I going, right? We have those answers as Mormons. Once Mormonism is gone, it's easy for those answers to go with them. And then what comes is a re-examination. Oh, whoa, who am I? Where did I come from? Where am I going? The result can be anxiety, fear, sadness, a sense of grief and loss of what you once had or thought you had. And in addition, the anxiety can be really heightened because you had previous structure and resources to help you answer these questions that now is gone, now that you leave, or now that you are leaving or have left. And so that can really build our sense of anxiety. So one strategy, there are several strategies to address this, and one that I think is really helpful, especially for negative feelings or unwanted feelings you may experience, is actually approaching your identity with a sense of exploration and curiosity. And so actually it's becoming an adventurer or an explorer of, I wonder what's next, what else am I going to find out? Oh my gosh, that didn't fit me? what else is there? I wonder if this does. Let me go try that. I'm gonna go try that. Nope, that didn't work. and so it's a continual process of just being open to the world with a sense of wonder that can actually really correct some of those intense feelings of sadness or anxiety. Another strategy to build identity and purpose includes reclaiming Christian and Mormon history, stories, rituals, and music that fit you. So if you are feeling grief over the loss of your Mormon identity or the disconnection from your roots, remember that you have the power in deciding what you want to let go of. As a former Mormon, you choose what, if anything, you carry with you. For example, you may choose to reclaim the story of a young Joseph Smith. As like him, you scrutinize the established organizations and observe that certain things don't fit or are not true for you. This leads you on your own spiritual quest to discover your truth as a modern-day pioneer. Reclaiming such narratives can provide you with a sense of connection to your roots while honoring your present and empowering you to pursue new paths. Another task that was touched on previously is the reorientation of authority. And what I mean by that is, as it was touched on earlier in the opening remarks, is that we're used, as Mormons, our sense of authority is outside of ourselves, right? It's the scriptures, the prophet, the priesthood, etc. And now that that's gone, we're losing our balance here. Whoa, where does authority come from? That becomes a big question here. And this is really difficult or can be very difficult for us because we've been in this kind of environment. We haven't developed skills to be independent and to really critically think and figure out what's right for us. And so self-doubt can arise, and in regards to what do I believe and how do I handle life situations. So first task, give yourself permission not to know. Give yourself a break, all right? And everybody else, give others permission not to know too, and to know that they don't know. Or not to know that they don't know, excuse me. Another strategy is to value your own opinions and take them seriously. So there are a few questions I want you to keep in mind right now. I want you to keep asking yourself and answering, what do I think? How do I feel? What answer best fits me and my situation? Remember, you are the expert on you and your life, and you are the one that lives it. You are your authority. The next strategy is to build self-trust. Remember that trust comes from consistency over time. As you build mastery, that is, you consistently study new information and practice new skills you learn, your doubt and fear will dissipate because you can now trust your ability to handle life's tasks. As you build mastery, consult with supportive loved ones or professional help as needed, as you seek out, learn, and use new skills. The next task is to identify and maintain effective behavioral boundaries. So, Mormon thought, one interesting aspect of Mormon thought is that it adopts an all-or-nothing approach to life, right? And this doesn't necessarily drop off just because you left. That's programmed in your brain, it's your style of thinking. For example, one may think if some of what I learned isn't true, then none of it is true. As a result, those leaving Mormonism may be vulnerable to abandoning all previously held behavioral